Monday. It's
Monday.
Monday.
It's
Got
Monday.
a lot going on a Monday. I mean, there's a lot going on, but I want to go backwards real quick. So last night, the sixth game of this wild card weekend was the Steelers of Pittsburgh against the Browns of Cleveland.
This is a great weekend of football, by the way.
Great weekend.
I mean, it's did the NFL peak this weekend? I don't know, but I mean, they weren't great games, I guess. But
there were a couple decent games. Whatever.
Anyway.
Did the NFL peak? I don't know. I mean, next weekend, I think there are a lot of fun games, but we'll talk about that later in the week.
All right. So what do you got?
Last night, before you even sat down and had a bowl of Cheerios, it was 28-zip Browns, and it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Hold on a second. Hold on. You're eating Cheerios for dinner, and I thought you had issues with the oats, in your system.
I do, but it's I use it. It's a good way to
cleanse,
get things moving. How's that?
All right, so you'll sit down. All right, you're sitting down to dinner with a bowl of Cheerios for some reason. And
this is late. I mean, this is not dinner. It's more like late night
dessert
snack. Anyway, so last night, Roethlisberger, who you fans out there know is the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he throws for over 500 yards. He completes more passes, I believe, in the history of the NFL, 4 touchdowns, and they get smoked. So I guess, numbers can be deceiving, because if you had said prior to the game, Roethlisberger's to throw for 504 touchdowns, you'd be like, oh my God, the Steelers are going to blow him out. And the exact opposite happened. And I use that in the context of the market. We're at all-time highs, and you just wonder if it's good Ben Roethlisberger or the bad Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, and there's a lot of people that have views on Big Ben on both sides of that. And if you think about Ben as a stock, you own a stock, you're down 20%. The company's done a lot of things wrong, bad earnings numbers, you name it. And then is it a good time to own the stock? And if the stock gets back to down 10% or down 2%. Do you sell it because you're close to being out of jail? And is that good or is that bad? I mean, I think there's a lot of that same thing going on here. You're talking about the market, and I agree with that. I mean, ultimately, what's the market we have here? Do we have the good market or the bad market? And on a day when we're continuing to, we come out of a weekend digesting the events of last week. And I think there's all kinds of implications for both policy and just asset prices on top of measures of the market's momentum being very stretched. And so to me, I think you have a case where the market is still in a place where before we normalize on earnings and before we begin to really address what might be policy coming out of Washington, have a better idea of stalemate or policy that markets won't like, even if Main Street likes. I think you've got a market that's, people taking the second half of Roethlisberger. I mean, I think Roethlisberger, boy, that's easy for me to say. Roethlisberger in the second half, he played the only game he could. And you can't, I mean, they were lining up without a running back in the backfield guy. I mean, you knew that they were going to pass. Everybody on the planet knew they're going to pass almost every down. And I'm not sure they should have tried anything else.
Yeah, it's fair. And so tonight, then we have the Crimson Tide of Alabama against the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Go with that.
Yeah, well, drink Scotch whiskey all night long.
Right.
Where am I going with this?
And hide behind the wheel. I mean, I know exactly.
I think you die behind the wheel, but you're right there with me. And I don't think you're a huge fan of Donald Fagen. Oh boy, I'll get him in a second.
Of Steely Dan fame.
Steely Dan. What? By the way, what is a Steely Dan?
We could talk about that in another podcast when time permits. Right now, it's probably not the best time, but we will get into that, I'm sure, at a later date.
Walter Becker,
not
to be confused with Boom Boom Boris Becker, who, by the way, I mean, I was a huge Boris Becker fan. I love Borg. I had the Fila shorts, and I'm sure you didn't, but
tennis never did it for me. I was a Barry Beck fan, and I'll take Barry Beck over Boris Becker or Frank Becker or whatever Beckers from Steely Dan. But I will tell you right now, as well as Ohio State played last week, I think they're going to get smoked tonight against the Tide of Alabama.
Okay, so Alabama, let's go out on this. And again, they've got a name for the winners in the world. and I want to name when I lose. They call Alabama the
The
Crimson
Crimson
Tide.
Tide, sure they do.
So, look, SEC is dominant, and until somebody tells me otherwise, the SEC is the class of college football, and I'm a Gator by marriage. So, I'm all about the SEC. I don't think this game's going to be close. It's not going to
Yeah.
be close.
Roll Tide. We'll talk tomorrow.
Bye.
Later.